We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israel approves moves to expand its powers in occupied West Bank. UN, the US and the UK call on Israel to reverse its unlawful decision. Prime Minister Modi and Mauritius Prime Minister Naveen Chandra Ramagulam hold telephonic conversation. Both leaders reviewed progress in wide-ranging bilateral cooperation and reaffirmed India-Mauritius commitment to peace and stability in the Indian Ocean region. Landmark social media trial begins in Los Angeles to test whether big tech platforms can be held liable for their app designed to addict children. And in ICC Men's T20 World Cup, Pakistan ends boycott, confirms match against India will go ahead on February 15th. Let's start with the big breaking news coming in right now. The Pakistan Cricket Board has taken a U-turn on its boycott of the February 15th T20 World Cup match against India in Colombo. Well, the board and ICC late on Monday night confirmed the same, saying the government of Pakistan has decided to end their boycott. Now, the two neighbours were supposed to play their group stage match in Sri Lanka. However, Pakistan decided against taking the field as protest after Bangladesh withdrew from the tournament. Also, the ICC and the Pakistan Cricket Board are understood to have initiated formal discussions on February 7th about the reversal of the boycott. This came a day after the Sri Lankan Cricket Board urged its Pakistani counterpart to reconsider its decision, citing significant financial losses for all parties involved. All right, and for more, we have Abhishek Prasad joining us on this. Well, Abhishek, what do you think prompted Pakistan's government to reverse the boycott at the last moment, and what role did the ICC play in those talks?
Yes, Lipakshi, it was a big decision by the Pakistan government to reverse its decision of boycotting their match against India, and ICC definitely had a huge role. The ICC, PCB and the Bangladesh Cricket Board held a meeting from the last few days, and they almost all the three parties reached a common consensus late on Monday night where ICC flagged off Pakistan of its possible implications on financial part. They will have to pay a huge amount of money to the losses that will be incurred by the broadcasters if Pakistan will boycott their match against India on February 15. And the BCB and the Sri Lanka also had a huge role in convincing Pakistan about about preserving the unity, about preserving the integrity of the game. The ICC in its statement said that its engagement with the PCB was aimed at reinforcing unity, integrity and respect for participation commitments to ensure the smooth conduct of the T20 World Cup. It also reaffirmed long-term support for Bangladesh cricket, stressing that the team's absence from the 2026 event will not impact the sports growth in the country. And it was a huge decision, by the ICC had a huge role to play. They also, said to BCB that BCB is not participating in the T20 World Cup, but it's very important for sports growth in their country in Bangladesh. And the Bangladesh though extended their support to Pakistan, but told them that they should play this tournament keeping in mind the integrity of the sport. And ICC made it very clear that if Pakistan will not participate in the World Cup, they have to incur huge loss that may have impact the whole T20 World Cup.
All right, Abhishek, thank you so much for explaining it to us. And moving on, Israel has approved plans to help settlers acquire land in the West Bank and widen its powers in parts of the territory where Palestinians have some self-rule. It was announced by Israel's Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and Defense Minister Israel Katz after being approved by the Security Cabinet. It was unclear when the new rules would take effect, but they do not require further approval. Also, the West Bank, which Israel has occupied since 1967, would form the largest part of any future Palestinian state.
Jordanian law, which has been on the books since before 1967, but has been strengthened since 1967, prohibits the sale of any land to Jews, which is something very discriminatory by any standard in any society.
Also, the Israeli measures envisage transferring authority over building permits for settlements in the Palestinian city of Hebron, the West Bank's largest, from the Palestinian Authority to Israel. In addition, the reform strengthens Israeli control over two major religious sites in the southern West Bank, Rachel's tomb near Bethlehem and the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron.
Well, it's been repealed for years in the rest of the West Bank, but only with respect to the Jewish part of Hebron, which is a tiny percentage. It didn't repeal the law. The law still exists. Israel has not got sovereign powers to repeal Jordanian law, but in the areas under Israel's control and administration, it can repeal the implementation of Jordanian law, which is considered to be offensive, anti-Semitic and anti-Israel.
Well, international outrage is growing at Israeli plans to tighten the country's grip over West Bank. A UN spokesperson, Stephen Dujarric, said UN Chief Guterres warned that the current trajectory on the ground is eroding the prospect for the two-state solution.
Such actions, including Israel's continuing presence in the occupied Palestinian territory, are not only destabilizing, but, as recalled by the International Court of Justice, unlawful. The Secretary General calls on Israel to reverse these measures and all parties to preserve the only path to lasting peace, which is a negotiated settlement for a two-state solution in line with relevant Security Council resolutions and international law.
Also, the United States is the latest country to call on Israel to reverse its decision to expand control over the West Bank. A White House official reiterated U.S. President Donald Trump's opposition towards Israel planned for the West Bank. Officials said a stable West Bank keeps Israel secure and is in line with this administration's goal to achieve peace in the region. Also, United Kingdom and Spain joined the rising chorus of condemnation. UK said any unilateral attempt to alter the geographic or demographic makeup of Palestine is wholly unacceptable and would be inconsistent with international law. Well, also last year, the United Kingdom announced it was imposing additional sanctions on illegal Israeli settler outposts in the occupied West Bank. Earlier, Saudi Arabia, Jordan and the United Arab Emirates-led regional states denounced the decisions as a violation of international law that would undermine the vision of a two-state solution as well as stability in the region. They said the moves meant to entrench Israeli settlement of the West Bank, displacing Palestinians and imposing unlawful Israeli sovereignty there. Jordan, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates and Turkey all have diplomatic relations with Israel. Saudi Arabia has said it will not establish such relations until the formation of a Palestinian state. Meanwhile, dozens of Palestinians returned to the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis on Tuesday after spending months in Egypt, separated from their families. Most had traveled to Egypt for medical treatment and were able to come home after the Rafah border crossing between Egypt and Gaza partially reopened. Rafah is the only crossing for nearly all of Gaza's more than 2 million residents. Its limited reopening last week marked a key step in the US-backed initiative announced by President Donald Trump aimed at ending the Israel-Hamas conflict. And Venezuelan Nobel Peace Laureate Maria Corina Machado on Monday stated that armed government agents had kidnapped a close ally, Juan Pablo Guanipa, hours after he was released from the prison and demanded democratic elections. Now, the public prosecutor's office later confirmed Guanipa had been detained for violating the terms of his release and would be placed under house arrest. The former National Assembly vice president had walked out of jail on Sunday as part of a slow-moving wave of political prisoner releases. Also, Venezuelan Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello defended the rearrest of opposition politician Juan Pablo Guanipa, saying he violated the conditions of his release just hours after being freed from the prison.
897 people have been released. 897 and nothing had happened. They left and met with their families until they illustrated stupidity of some politicians who believe they can do whatever they want and disrupt the country, violating the very condition under which they were given freedom. So now there are not 897 but 896 because one person was detained again for violating the conditions under which they were released.
Nuevamente por violar las condiciones sobre las.
However, Guanipa's son, Raymond Guanipa, described the incident as a kidnapping, saying his father was seized by armed men in civilian clothes just hours after his prison release. Before being detained, Guanipa had celebrated with supporters in a plaza and participated in a motorcycle caravan calling for the release of other political prisoners on Sunday. And Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell refused to answer questions at a deposition before the U.S. House's Committee on Oversight and Government Reform on Monday. Her refusal drew criticism from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Maxwell invoked her Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and declined to answer questions. Democrats on the committee accused Maxwell of using the deposition to campaign for clemency from U.S. President Donald Trump and called on the Republican president to rule out such a move. Maxwell was found guilty in 2021 for her role in helping Epstein, is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence. Trump said he didn't know about Epstein's crimes and ended their relationship in the early 2000s before Epstein's 2008 guilty plea. And a social media trial in Los Angeles began on Monday with accusations that Meta platforms and YouTube knowingly designed their apps to be addictive for children. Now, a lawyer for 20-year-old woman identified as Kaylee GM told jurors that she became hooked on social media at a young age due to deliberate product design choices. Kaylee is suing Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, and Google, which owns YouTube. Her lawyer, Mark Lanier, argued that internal company documents reveal the firms intentionally built systems meant to exploit young, developing brains. Well, both Meta and YouTube had denied the claims. A verdict against the companies could pave the way for similar lawsuits and weaken big tech's long-standing legal defenses. Also, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is expected to testify, and the trial may continue into March. Well, moving on, campaigning for Bangladesh's 13th Jatiya Sansad or the National Parliament election and the accompanying referendum ends at 7 IST today, ushering in the mandatory 48-hour silence period ahead of voting on 12th of February. The final phase comes amid tightening restrictions, heightened security and fresh survey projections. Also, public opinion survey forecast a decisive lead for the BNP-led alliance, projecting around 208 seats. The Jamaat-e-Islami-led alliance is estimated to secure 46 seats, the Jatiya Party 3, other parties 4 and independent 17. Security has been significantly tightened nationwide, with the Bangladesh Army and other forces placed on special operational alert until 14th of February. Now, around 900,000 personnel will be deployed and 1,051 executive magistrates assigned to run mobile courts. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. India commences first BRICS Sherpa meeting in New Delhi, sets people-centric, humanity-first agenda. And we'll tell you how artificial intelligence is transforming public governance, boosting efficiency, responsiveness, and accountability. Well, welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Kuran, and moving on. The first BRICS Sherpa meeting commenced on Monday in New Delhi. Secretary Economic Relations and India's BRICS Sherpa, Sudhakar Dallela, highlighted key priorities of India's chairmanship based on Prime Minister's vision for people-centric and humanity-first approach for the BRICS. He stressed that the priorities are also based on the overall theme of building for resilience, innovation, cooperation and sustainability. Well, BRICS Sherpas are a select group of leaders representing their countries within the BRICS bloc. The role of a Sherpa is that of being the main channel for communication amongst the BRICS nations. Also, BRICS brings together 11 major emerging markets and developing countries of the world. Those are Brazil, China, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Indonesia, Iran, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and United Arab Emirates. It serves as a useful platform for consultation and cooperation on contemporary issues having global as well as regional significance and issues of global political and economic governance. And India plans to maintain multiple sources of energy supply and diversify them when needed. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri made this clear while replying to a question during a press conference on Monday. He said that India believes in safeguarding the interest of its consumers through reliable suppliers.
Key drivers of our energy policy are adequate availability, fair pricing, and reliability of supply. So if you look at the data, and I'm sure you're looking at the data on a constant basis, you will see that we import crude oil from dozens of countries. We are neither dependent on any single source for this, nor do we intend to be. And it is natural for the mix of sources to vary from time to time, depending on objective market conditions. What I can firmly and confidently say that whether it is the government or indeed our business, at the end of the day, national interests will be the guiding factor for us in our choices.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with his Mauritian counterpart, Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramagulam. Taking to social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi posted, and I quote, "Happy to receive a phone call from my friend, Prime Minister Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramagulam. We reviewed progress in the wide-ranging cooperation between India and Mauritius since our memorable meeting in Varanasi last year. Reaffirmed our commitment to further strengthen the special, historic and people-centric ties that unite our two nations. India and Mauritius will continue to work together to achieve shared objectives of peace and stability in the Indian Ocean region. I look forward to welcoming him to India for the AI Impact Summit next week." Unquote. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks in New Delhi with President of Seychelles, Dr. Patrick Herminy, who is on a state visit to India from 5th to 10th February 2026. His visit coincides with the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties between two nations. Our next report has all the details.
President Armenia arrived in India on February 5th for a 6-day tour, his first since assuming office in October last year. On Monday, he held delegation-level talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Hyderabad House, addressing bilateral, regional and international issues, followed by a scheduled meeting with President Draupadi Murmu at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Earlier, he paid tributes at Rajghat to honor Mahatma Gandhi.
भारत और सेशेल्स की साझेदारी एक नए चरण में प्रवेश कर रही है। सभी क्षेत्रों में आगे बढ़ने के लिए आज हम इंडिया सेशेल्स जॉइंट विजन जारी करने जा रहे हैं। ये विजन आने वाले वर्षों में हमारे सहयोग का रोडमैप बनेगा। आज हम $175 मिलियन के स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक पैकेज की घोषणा करने जा रहे हैं। यह पैकेज सोशल हाउसिंग, ई मोबिलिटी, वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग, स्वास्थ्य, रक्षा और मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी जैसे क्षेत्रों में ठोस परियोजनाओं को सपोर्ट देगा।
Cooperation in the maritime and scientific domain was reinforced through the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding on Technical Cooperation in Ocean Observation, Ocean Services, Capacity Building, Data Sharing, and Marine Scientific Research. This instrument reflects our shared interests in advancing marine science, strengthening technical and analytical capabilities, and support evidence-based ocean governance in the Indian Ocean. We also exchange perspectives on regional and global issues of mutual interest, including developments in the Indian Ocean region and India's growing role in multilateral forums such as the G20 and BRICS.
India-Seychelles relations emphasize maritime security, defense cooperation, development partnerships, trade, health, tourism, and climate resilience. The $175 million package announced today will be utilized in public housing, urban mobility, infrastructure, and skills development, alongside a joint vision for blue economy and security. This visit highlights Seychelles' key role in maritime neighbor in India's Vision Mahasagar for regional security and growth, with a focus on global South priorities. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping public governance, offering unprecedented opportunities to enhance productivity, responsiveness and accountability. DD India's Tripti Tripathi has more on this.
Artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping governance in India, marking a shift from reactive administration to predictive and citizen-centric public service delivery. Under initiatives like Digital India and the National AI Mission, India is using AI to analyze vast public data sets and improve policy implementation across sectors. According to government estimates, India's digital public infrastructure today supports over 1.3 billion Aadhaar identities, 300 crore plus digital payments every month, and millions of real-time service transactions, creating the foundation for AI-driven governance.
The use of artificial intelligence for governance would be very useful because of the multilingual support afforded by AI, and also from the perspective that it need not be written but could also be voice-based, which enhances the ability to reach more citizens for their redressal mechanisms.
Urban governance is witnessing a major AI impact. AI-driven traffic management systems in smart cities have helped reduce congestion and improve response times. Law enforcement and urban governance are also seeing transformation. Predictive analytics supports crime prevention, traffic management, and disaster response in smart cities. AI-driven tools assist in identifying tax evasions, monitoring welfare schemes, and plugging leakages in public spending. The judiciary is adopting AI for case classification, translation across Indian languages, and legal research, supporting faster disposal of cases and courts handling over 5 crore pending cases nationwide. Meanwhile, chatbots and grievance redressal systems are enabling 24/7 citizen engagements. making governance more responsive and inclusive.
It can identify where service delivery is weakening, where resources are leaky, where infrastructure is underused or overloaded, and where citizen needs are shifting, district by district, even ward by ward. And that's where governance starts moving from reactive to predictive.
AI can detect irregularities in welfare, improve targeting precision, forecast demand in healthcare systems, and optimize infrastructure planning. But more importantly, it reshapes how trust is built between institutions and citizens.
As India positions itself as a global digital leader, AI in governance is not about replacing human judgment, but augmenting it. In a democracy of 1 billion people, artificial intelligence is emerging as a force multiplier, delivering smarter policies, efficient administration, and smarter outlook for the people. With camera person Lalit, Tripti Tripathi, DD India, Delhi.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.